Welcome back to PrimeYacht, where we navigate the waters of luxury with clarity and insight. If you've been dreaming of yacht ownership, you've likely noticed something fascinating happening in marinas from Miami to Seattle. A quiet revolution is underway. The sleek vessels gliding silently into their berths aren't your grandfather's yachts. They're hybrids, combining traditional diesel power with electric propulsion. And they're raising a question that matters deeply to your wallet. Are hybrid yachts actually worth the premium? Or are traditional yachts still the smarter financial choice for American buyers? Today, we're breaking down the real numbers, not manufacturer promises or marketing speak, but the actual cost comparison between hybrid and traditional yachts. We'll examine purchase prices, fuel consumption, maintenance expenses, resale values, and those hidden costs that can make or break your yachting budget. By the end of this analysis, you'll know exactly which option makes financial sense for your situation. Let's dive in. The purchase price reality. First, let's talk about the elephant on the deck: initial cost. When you're looking at a 60-foot yacht, a popular size for American cruisers, a traditional diesel model from a reputable builder like Grand Banks or Hatteras typically starts around $800,000 to $1.2 million. That's your baseline. Now, a comparable hybrid yacht from manufacturers like Greenline or Silent Yachts, you're looking at $1.1 million to $1.8 million. That's a premium of roughly $300,000 to $600,000 for the hybrid technology. That's not pocket change. It's a significant upfront investment, and it represents anywhere from 30 to 50% more than a traditional yacht of similar size and luxury appointments. The question is whether that premium pays for itself over time, or whether it's simply an expensive statement about environmental consciousness. But here's what most brokers won't tell you up front. That premium isn't just about the propulsion system. Hybrid yachts typically come with upgraded electrical systems, larger battery banks, more sophisticated monitoring equipment, and often superior insulation for quieter operation. You're not just paying for electric motors, you're paying for an entirely reimagined power architecture. And here's something worth noting. Don't forget to check for state-specific tax incentives that could further offset the hybrid premium. States like California, Washington, and even Florida have begun offering tax credits or rebates for environmentally friendly vessels. These incentives can range from $10,000 to $50,000, depending on your state and the vessel specifications. It's worth consulting with a marine tax specialist before you make your final decision. Fuel costs, where hybrids start making sense. Let's move to operating costs, because this is where the mathematics become genuinely interesting. A traditional 60-foot motor yacht burns approximately 20 to 30 gallons of diesel per hour at cruising speed. If you're putting in 200 hours annually, a reasonable estimate for recreational owners who cruise regularly, that's 4,000 to 6,000 gallons of marine diesel. At current U.S. prices, averaging around $4.50 per gallon for marine diesel, you're spending $18,000 to $27,000 annually just on fuel. And remember, diesel prices fluctuate. We've seen them spike to $6 or $7 per gallon in certain markets. Hybrid yachts tell a different story. When operating in electric-only mode at displacement speeds, that's slower, more efficient speeds, perfect for harbor maneuvering, anchoring in quiet coves, or overnight at anchor with hotel loads, you're consuming zero diesel. Even when the diesel generator runs to charge batteries or supplement power at higher speeds, fuel consumption drops to approximately 12 to 18 gallons per hour. For that same 200 hours, assuming you operate 50% of the time in electric mode and 50% in hybrid mode, you might burn 1,200 to 1,800 gallons of diesel annually. At $4.50 per gallon, that's $5,400 to $8,100. The annual savings? $12,600 to $18,900 every single year. Now, before we continue with the remaining cost factors that will determine your final decision, I want to pause for just a moment. If you're finding this analysis valuable, if these real numbers are helping you make a more informed decision about your yacht investment, please consider subscribing to PrimeYacht. We bring you this level of detailed, unbiased information on every aspect of yacht ownership, from maintenance secrets to market trends. Your subscription helps us continue producing content that puts your financial interests first. Now, let's examine the costs that often catch owners by surprise.
Maintenance and repair, the long game. Maintenance is where yacht ownership separates the dreamers from the committed, and it's where the hybrid versus traditional debate gets complicated. Traditional diesel engines are proven technology. Your local marine mechanic knows them inside and out. Parts are readily available. A major service on twin diesel engines might run you $5,000 to $8,000 annually, depending on engine size and hours. Transmission services, heat exchanger replacements, fuel system maintenance, these are predictable expenses. Hybrid systems introduce new variables. The electric motors themselves require minimal maintenance. They have fewer moving parts than diesels. That's a genuine advantage. However, the battery banks are a different story. Lithium-ion battery systems, which power most modern hybrid yachts, have a lifespan of approximately 3,000 to 5,000 charge cycles, or roughly 8 to 12 years of typical use. Replacement costs? For a 60-foot hybrid yacht, you're looking at $80,000 to $150,000 for a complete battery bank replacement. That's a significant future expense. Amortized over 10 years, it adds $8,000 to $15,000 to your annual operating budget. Suddenly, some of those fuel savings start disappearing. But here's the important context. By the time you need a replacement in 10 years, the technology will likely be cheaper and more efficient. Battery costs have dropped by approximately 85% over the past decade, and that trend is accelerating. Solid-state batteries and improved lithium chemistries are already in development. The $150,000 battery bank you're worried about today might cost $60,000 to $80,000 when replacement time actually arrives, with double the capacity and longer lifespan. And here's the counterpoint. Diesel engines don't last forever either. A complete engine rebuild or replacement on twin diesels can easily exceed $100,000. Traditional yachts also require more frequent oil changes, filter replacements, impeller services, and cooling system maintenance. When you factor in the labor hours and parts for diesel maintenance over a decade, the gap narrows considerably. The honest answer? Maintenance costs are roughly comparable when viewed over a 10 to 15-year ownership period, but the timing and type of expenses differ significantly. Insurance and dockage, the hidden differentiators. Here's something many prospective hybrid owners don't anticipate: insurance implications. Some insurers view hybrid technology as lower risk due to reduced fire hazards from diesel fuel and quieter operation in harbors. You might see 5 to 10% lower premiums. However, other insurers consider hybrids higher risk due to the expensive electrical systems and limited repair facilities. They may charge 10 to 15% more. The variation depends entirely on your insurer, your cruising area, and your vessel's specific systems. For a yacht insured at $20,000 annually, that's a potential swing of $2,000 to $3,000 either direction. Dockage tells a more consistent story. Many premium marinas, particularly in environmentally conscious areas like the Pacific Northwest, California, and New England, now offer preferential rates or discounts for hybrid and electric vessels. We're talking 10 to 20% reductions at select facilities. That could save you $2,000 to $5,000 annually, depending on your slip fees. Additionally, some harbors have implemented quiet zones or zero-emission zones where hybrid yachts can operate freely while traditional diesels face restrictions. That's not just about cost, it's about access and flexibility. Resale value? The crystal ball question. Predicting resale values requires some educated speculation because hybrid yacht technology is still relatively young in the recreational market. Currently, well-maintained traditional yachts from quality builders retain approximately 50 to 60% of their original value after 10 years. That's fairly predictable depreciation.
hybrid yachts? The data is limited, but early indicators suggest two competing forces. On one hand, outdated battery technology and expensive replacement costs could accelerate depreciation. On the other hand, increasing environmental regulations and fuel costs could make hybrids more desirable in the resale market. The most likely scenario? Hybrids will depreciate at roughly the same rate as traditional yachts, but with greater volatility based on battery condition and technological obsolescence. A hybrid yacht with freshly replaced batteries might command a premium. One with original batteries nearing end of life could face steep discounts. The smart play? Budget for 50% residual value after 10 years for either option, and consider anything better a pleasant surprise. The total cost picture. Running the numbers. Let's bring this all together with a realistic 10-year cost comparison for a 60-foot yacht. Traditional yacht. Purchase price, $1 million. Fuel costs, 10 years, $210,000. Maintenance and repairs, $75,000. Insurance, $200,000. Dockage, $300,000. Total 10-year cost, $1,785,000. Minus resale value, 50%, minus $500,000. Net cost, $1,285,000. Hybrid yacht. Purchase price, $1,500,000. Fuel costs, 10 years, $70,000. Maintenance and battery replacement, $120,000. Insurance, $180,000, 10% discount. Dockage, $255,000, 15% average discount. Less state tax incentives, minus $30,000, an average estimate. Total 10-year cost, $2,095,000. Minus resale value, 50%, minus $750,000. Net cost, $1,345,000. The difference? About $60,000 over 10 years, or $6,000 annually, in favor of traditional yachts, assuming current fuel prices remain stable and battery replacement occurs once. But if diesel prices increase by just 20%, which we've seen happen, that calculation flips and hybrids become the more economical choice. And if battery replacement costs drop by 50% as projected, hybrids could actually save you money over the long term. The yacht industry is moving inexorably toward electrification. California is already discussing zero-emission requirements for recreational vessels in certain waters. European marinas are implementing similar regulations. Battery technology is improving rapidly. Solid-state batteries promise double the energy density at lower costs within the next 5 to 7 years. That could cut replacement costs in half while extending range significantly. Meanwhile, diesel prices face long-term upward pressure from carbon taxes, refining capacity constraints, and shifting energy policies. The fuel savings advantage of hybrids will likely increase over time. For buyers with a 10 to 15-year ownership horizon, hybrid technology represents not just an environmental statement, but potentially a genuine financial hedge against rising fuel costs and tightening regulations. Thank you for joining us on PrimeYacht for this detailed cost comparison. The truth is, both hybrid and traditional yachts have their place in American waters, and the right choice depends on your cruising style, budget flexibility, and time horizon. Here's my question for you, and I genuinely want to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you could save $15,000 annually in fuel costs, would you be willing to pay a $300,000 premium upfront for a hybrid yacht? Let us know your reasoning. I read every comment, and your insights often spark our next deep dive analyses. Until next time, this is PrimeYacht, helping you navigate the waters of luxury yacht ownership with clarity and confidence.